There's something fascinating about the night sky. Maybe you felt it too. You step outside, look up, and for a moment, you feel small, connected, curious. The stars have been there long before us. They've watched civilizations rise and fall. But what if those same stars could tell your future? What if they knew who you'd fall in love with, the job you'd take, or the heartbreak waiting around the corner? Millions of people today still believe they can. From daily horoscopes to birth charts, astrology has quietly become a language of self-understanding for our generation. But here's the question that has divided believers and skeptics for centuries. Is astrology truly ancient wisdom, or just a beautifully crafted illusion? Let's start with a story. In a quiet corner of London, inside a small apartment filled with star maps and books older than the city itself, lives a man named Arthur Hale. Arthur is an astrologer, not one of those fortune tellers you find in neon-lit corners, but a scholar. He spent 40 years studying planetary alignments, calculating birth charts, and decoding cosmic patterns. One evening, when he's preparing for a consultation, a young journalist named Maya visits him to write a piece about astrology's rise among millennials. She's skeptical, but curious. Her first question is simple. Arthur, how can stars that are light years away have anything to do with what's happening in my life? Arthur smiles. Because the universe leaves fingerprints. You just have to know where to look. It's a poetic answer, and that's the thing about astrology. It feels poetic. It feels meaningful. The idea that the position of planets and stars at the moment of your birth could shape your destiny is powerful. Humans have believed this for over 4,000 years. But before we dive into whether it's real or not, let's go back, way back, to where it all began. The story of astrology starts in ancient Mesopotamia, around 2400 BCE. Babylonian priests looked to the sky not for love advice, but for signs from the gods. To them, the heavens were a divine message board. When Jupiter moved across the sky or a comet appeared, they believed it foretold the fate of kings, kingdoms, and wars. The stars were not about personal identity back then. They were about power and survival. These early astrologers were also some of the first astronomers. They mapped constellations with remarkable precision, predicting eclipses and planetary movements using nothing but observation and mathematics. In a world without science as we know it, astrology was the science. As centuries passed, the Greeks inherited these celestial ideas. It was they who transformed astrology into something deeply personal. Philosophers like Ptolemy and Aristotle tried to connect the motion of the heavens with human nature. They believed the cosmos was one giant living organism, and humans were a reflection of its harmony. This idea birthed the zodiac, 12 constellations marking the path of the sun across the sky. Each sign was linked to personality traits: Aries, the bold; Cancer, the emotional; Virgo, the meticulous. It was elegant. It made people feel like they belonged to the universe. And maybe that's why astrology has never truly left us. But history also shows how astrology and astronomy, once twins, slowly drifted apart. During the Renaissance, scientists began testing old beliefs with observation and evidence. When Galileo turned his telescope to the heavens, he saw moons orbiting Jupiter, proof that not everything revolved around Earth. The cosmic order that astrology depended on began to crumble. In 1543, Copernicus showed that the Earth wasn't the center of the universe. Later, Isaac Newton revealed the laws of gravity and motion, explaining the movement of planets without invoking gods or fate. Slowly, science pulled away, and astrology was left behind, not as a science, but as a belief. But belief is powerful. Today, billions of people check their horoscopes every morning. Astrology apps have millions of downloads. Even CEOs, politicians, and celebrities secretly consult astrologers. Why? If science says it doesn't work, why do we keep looking up? That's where the psychology comes in. Humans crave meaning. We don't like randomness. When something good happens, we want to believe it was meant to be. When something bad happens, we want to find a reason. Astrology gives us both. It gives chaos a pattern. Scientists call this apophenia, the tendency to see connections in random data. When you read, "You will face challenges this week, but stay confident," it feels specific, but it could apply to anyone. That's the Barnum effect, named after the famous showman P.T. Barnum, who said, "There's a sucker born every minute." The effect describes how people believe vague statements about themselves because they want them to be true. But calling astrology a mere illusion ignores something deeper. Modern psychology shows that even if astrology isn't scientifically valid, it can still have emotional truth. Studies published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology show that when people identify with their zodiac sign, they often display higher self-reflection and emotional awareness. It's not because the planets made them that way, but because astrology gives them language to explore themselves, a kind of symbolic mirror. Back in London, Maya listens as Arthur explains this connection. He says, "When I look at a chart, I'm not predicting the future. I'm helping people see patterns within themselves. The stars are metaphors, not machines." Maya thinks about this as she walks home through the cold evening. She doesn't know if she believes in astrology yet, but she can't deny how comforting it sounds, to think the universe has a story written for you. But comfort isn't proof, so let's talk about the science. There have been countless experiments testing astrology's accuracy. One of the most famous was conducted by physicist Sean Carlson in 1985, published in the journal Nature. He gave professional astrologers detailed birth charts of volunteers and asked them to match each one to the correct personality profile based on psychological tests. The results? Random chance. No correlation. The astrologers couldn't do better than guessing. In the decades since, similar tests have been repeated, all with the same outcome. No scientific evidence supports the idea that the position of the planets influences personality or fate. Astronomy also gives us another reason to doubt. The zodiac signs people use today are based on constellations that no longer align with the same dates. Because of Earth's slow wobble, known as axial precession, the stars have shifted over the last 2,000 years. Technically, if you were born under Scorpio centuries ago, the sun might actually be in Libra today. So the very foundation of modern horoscopes, the alignment of the stars, is astronomically outdated. Yet the system persists. Why? Because it's not about accuracy anymore. It's about identity. Astrology thrives because it speaks to our need to feel special, to be seen. In a digital world where everything feels uncertain, the zodiac gives people a story to hold on to. It says, you are not random, you are cosmic. And that's powerful, even if it's not provable. Let's pause for a moment and look at how astrology reinvented itself in modern times. In the 1960s and 70s, during the rise of the New Age movement, astrology made a massive comeback. It blended ancient mysticism with psychology and self-help. Newspapers started publishing daily horoscopes, turning what was once a priestly art into pop culture. Fast forward to today, astrology is everywhere again. Only now it lives on your phone. Apps like CoStar and The Pattern use data, algorithms, and poetic language to make astrology feel personal and scientific. They send push notifications like, "Your emotions may clash with logic today. Give yourself space." It feels intimate, and that feeling that the cosmos knows you is addictive. Maya's article eventually gets published. It's titled, "The Stars Within Us." She writes, "Whether astrology is truth or illusion, its real power may not lie in the stars, but in how it helps us understand ourselves." When Arthur reads it, he smiles, because maybe that's the paradox of astrology. It doesn't need to be literally true, to feel emotionally true. Science explains the how. Astrology explores the why. And maybe that's why they've always been rivals, two languages trying to describe the same mystery, our place in the universe. Modern astrophysics tells us the elements that make up our bodies, carbon, oxygen, iron, were forged in stars billions of years ago. When those stars exploded, they scattered their dust across the cosmos. Every atom in you was once part of a star. In that poetic sense, astrology got one thing right. We are connected to the stars, just not in the way horoscopes imagine. It's not that Mars decides your mood, it's that you are literally made of stardust. So is astrology ancient wisdom or modern illusion?